everybody. Welcome back to Unarmored Talk Podcast for this special episode on International Women's Day. I mean, what an amazing time to do a special episode in honor of all of the women on earth who have contributed to some amazing achievements. We have one right in front of us in a virtual space. If you guys are on audio, you will hear her. Her name is Leyna Marie Topete. And I tell you, that name, let me do it right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. There's a bunch of humans on Earth, but there's only one woman right now who is above the ionosphere. Now, how you doing, Leyna? Welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. By the way, I actually do think I'm the only Leyna Marie Topete on the planet. I do. I've actually Googled that to see, like, does anybody else have my name, my first name, my last name? I think there are a couple of Leyna Topetes, which I was surprised, but Leyna Marie Topete? No, I don't. I think I'm truly the only one.
I can confirm that because when I researched you, you are the only one that came up. You have an entrepreneur spirit. You're a business owner. We'll get to that in a bit, everyone. But we could take your initials, LM, T, and just brand that too, and make that part of your impromptu. Maybe build a product line or something. I don't know, but you're awesome. And everybody, she is a business owner. She's an entrepreneur. You guys got to check out what she's doing. Her company is called Impromptu. I'll put the links in the show notes. Give her a chance to talk about that a little bit. And then her nonprofit is Her Too. We'll talk about that before we jump in the topic. But before I bring this amazing guest on the show, thank you everybody. Thank you to all the women. I'm a mama's boy. My mom's in heaven right now, smiling at her little son. But all the women, thank you. I don't have a special button. Y'all know that. Maybe by 2027, I'll raise enough money to buy one.
Um,
Landon, can you do me a favor and bless our audience on this special episode and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you, Mario. Well, I am Latina. I am half Puerto Rican, half Mexican. And as you mentioned, I'm an entrepreneur and a philanthropist, a singer, actress, which is a part of my life that a lot of people don't maybe necessarily know about because I do have some background with that. But overall, I would say that what really defines me, if I think about who I am within, I'm just really a person who is really positive. I believe everything and anything is possible with the hard work, with the dedication, with determination. And I can't forget, of course, with faith. I believe that is a very important component to being able to make things happen. And I just see life as the gift that it really is.
Wow. And for all you Marines out there, she is the assistant commandant, if you of her mom, retired master gunnery sergeant. Her first name is Lola. I love it. Anyway, but she has that Marine blood in her, and more, and more. But she's doing amazing things around the world. And if you could just talk a little bit about, the main effort that you are doing and what you've done. I mean, you've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Mhm.
probably have impacted more than hundreds of thousands of people, and then women, and then particularly, Latinas, blacks, and then the indigenous women when it comes to breast cancer. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I started Her Too in honor of my mom Lola, who did pass away from breast cancer in 2019, September 11th of
Mm,
all days. Um, and she fought breast cancer for 12 years. But
wow.
because she was in the Marine Corps, she didn't have a financial hardship. And I remember we were talking one day and I was telling her that, I'd like to start a nonprofit. But at that time, I wanted to help fund or raise funds to further research for stage four. And she said, that's great, but I would rather you raise money to help women with the cost of treatment. It's really expensive. We would talk about the fact that if not for the Marine Corps, she could not have fought her fight past the first year because of just how expensive it was.
Mm.
And so I said, what, then that's what we'll do. That'll be the mission. And then 2020, I remember that day. It was the summer of 2020. And that's when I thought, okay, there's no time like the present. In the middle of the pandemic, the world is in chaos of all times to really, but that's me. That's how I am. That's just the way that I'm wired. And I remember saying, okay, I guess it's time to do this. And so I started raising money. In 2021, got the 501(c)(3, and yeah, and now we're rolling forward with everything.
And that is not easy. First of all, being comfortable in crisis. I mean, that's one heck of a soft skill. You know, Lena's like, there's a crisis. I'm super comfortable.
Yeah, you actually never thought about it like that, but yeah, you're right. I feel that that's now a gift from the Marine Corps. Being raised in the Marine Corps, it really has really taught me a lot, and especially being an entrepreneur. Um, I'm biased, but I really do think the Marine Corps is the best. There's no other branch like it. I please forgive me for anybody who's hearing me that is Army or any other branch, but I grew up in that, and I grew up in that in a time where, from a single mother, she joined in the 80s, and she raised me through that. So she raised me like a little Marine.
I,
Yeah, she
I,
did.
Lena, I think I fit the little accurately. So we'll put that word little on Mario P. Fields. Everybody, y'all know me, but that is and then this to start a nonprofit from scratch is not easy.
Mhm,
A lot of folks, they don't realize that. And then to get your 501(c)(3) from the IRS, that determination letter, that is not easy at all. So thank you. But now let's jump into the topic. You have been caretaking. You were thrusted, right, thrown into the caregiver, caretaker world for your hero, your mother.
mhm,
There's no training. There's no college. There's no online certification program. I don't care how much money anyone has on earth. That is a experience from hell. And for
mhm,
you, you've been providing. You took care of your mom and got rest. Your mother's soul, if you will. You've been helping women in low income communities, and I've been on your social media. You have been just helping people. You are a giver. But has anything happened in your life where now you need help?
mhm. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely I've definitely gone through a lot. Um, hmm, I haven't spoken about this in a
Mm,
public platform, so this will be that opportunity. But last November of 23,
mm,
2 weeks after the gala, I found myself in that very position where I was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer, and there are no words. There are no words because I
mm.
I I never feared getting breast cancer. Some people might think that's crazy, but I really just strongly believed it was not in the cards for me, not because I'm so special, but because I've been through with my mom. I'm now trying to give back to the community, the breast cancer community. I just felt that I would be exempt from that. But I found myself right in that. And I think I'm still trying to understand it in a way, if that makes sense. Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. It's been now almost 4 months since that day of being told that I had it. And since then I've had a lumpectomy, I've done radiation, and I've been going to doctor's appointments and things like that. But yeah, in that moment, I definitely
Mm.
felt like I need the support now around me. And I've learned, whether it's stage 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. When anybody who's ever been told they have something as serious as cancer, of whatever type, of whatever stage, no, there's nothing to explain that. There's nothing to,
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, so yeah.
And, Lane, I was going to tell you too, thank you, because that's courageous. Because I know you're still dealing with it, and it's recent. And for you to come on the show, and I'll give thank you to Sergeant Major retired Cortez Brown for connecting us.
Mhm.
But I am, I am so honored, for you to have the courage to even share this for the first time, and you're still processing the emotions of of you're doing all of this to help people survive it, prevent it, and then boom, it hits you. Was there any time, after you received this diagnosis, that you went to prayer or whatever and said, God, why me? Why now? Why me? Talk to me. Did that happen?
Instantly. I mean, instantly. I had I had the appointment where they suspected, and they really thought it'd be nothing. But I had that appointment. They did the biopsy, they did the mammogram, and then I flew to Puerto Rico 4 days later. And just one day after getting there, and with my family, and I get the call that that it, I'm so glad that we did this because it did turn out to be cancerous cells. In that moment, I remember being in my grandma's living room, and in that moment, hanging up the phone and telling my grandma, you know what? I've never said this before, but I'm doubting God. Like
Mm,
I don't understand right now. Haven't I been through enough? And I would never say why me, because
mhm.
I don't believe in saying that, because I feel like why anybody? The nobody anything that we go through, why anybody? But it was just the thing of, haven't I gone through enough? I've lost my mother. I've, I don't even know if you know this, but in 2022 I was diagnosed with MS. That rocked
Oh,
my world. And the business ups and downs, and like you said, having the organization and planning galas at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and all the stress of that, and so many factors. And I just thought, isn't it enough? I could cry almost thinking about it right now, because it just was like, isn't it enough? When do I get my reprieve? When do I get this break? And now this. um so I had that moment for sure. But my grandma instantly was her thing. She tells me, or she told me, no, no, no. We can't question God. We don't know the reason why, but we have to know there is a reason. And I want to pray right now. And so she prayed over me, and it took me a couple days to say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna reframe my thinking, and it's no longer what is this about in a negative way. Now it's like, okay, there is a purpose for this. What do I think that purpose is? And I feel like I now have understanding of that purpose.
wow. You just listening to you and grandma. When you see your grandma tonight, give her. Well, you got to make your hands like this small to hug her because Nicole and I were small. So, but you got to give her a hug from the fields. That
I
way
do.
she knows.
Yeah. I do. As a matter of fact, before like just what 10 minutes before we got on here, I gave her a hug because she's here with me in California right now. And I was like, just give me a hug. I love hugging her, and it's crouching down and just hugging her so tight. Yeah. She's
What
she's
would do?
4'11. She's 4'11. She's
Oh,
so
so
tight.
we're good. So and then the second thing is listening to you, it reminded me of this kind of saying is that God doesn't qualify people and send them to do his work. He sends those who are qualified and they get qualified doing the work. So he doesn't send the qualified, he qualifies the chosen. And it's powerful for you to say that because that's what I'm seeing. I mean, heck, Lena, I was on my wife's case today saying because she was like, I feel a little lump a couple of days ago. And I said, babe, make your appointment,
Mhm.
and it's because of you. It's because of us meeting each other, what, 3 minutes ago? But it's because of us meeting each other. And y'all know I'm joking, but it's been recent that
Right.
now I'm like, babe, don't, like, I don't care. Make your appointment. Make your appointment. But let's say we didn't meet. Let's say you weren't the chosen one to be qualified to not just inspire women. I'm a man. Men don't really have to deal with this a lot by statistics, but that doesn't mean we still can't support our loved ones,
Mhm.
our sisters, our mothers, our grandmothers, the women in our world, in our lives. So you're already doing it. I have a permanent tan, so you can't see me blushing. So I'm gonna blush from my eyes. I'm telling you. So how did you think? Because unarmored talk is about again, we all have emotions, but to think is a choice. So after you get this advice, this wisdom from grandma, and you go into deep prayer. How did you think through it? Where now you're starting to thrive.
Mm. That I mean, it. I had to pray a lot through that. I mean,
Mm,
it's what's interesting too, Mario, because I was talking to a really good friend of mine, and Romeo. Shout out to Romeo, because I'm sure he'll see this at some point. But I remember telling him that I was doubting God, and he actually had a different take on it. He goes, "I don't know that you were doubting God, because in that you kept praying. You never stopped praying, and you never stopped seeking Him in that time. So he goes, I think you were just afraid. It was fear. You were feeling the fear. So to answer your question, I mean, I navigated that through prayer, constant prayer, and I just totally gave it to him. As a woman of faith, that really is just all I knew that I could do, is just give something of this magnitude to him, because I really felt that there is purpose. And I don't think that God gave it to me, because I know some people have a different view. And And I don't think God gave it to me, but I do think He allowed it, and He allowed it for a
Mm.
purpose. And it was going to be for me to figure out and find out that purpose. And I would say I was still in Puerto Rico. I needed to navigate. That was probably one of the hardest things for me was I'm on this island, and it's not necessarily home based like LA, but I had to find an imaging center and continue to do more imaging. And
Wow.
I would say about a week after getting that call, I started to feel this mental shift of, okay, I'm excited. I'm not excited that I have this, certainly not, but I'm excited because I know from this, something good is going to come of it. And I remember, I want to say it was a few days after I got my own diagnosis, a supporter of HER2 reached out to me and she said, "Hey, when's the next HER2 event? Because my friend, her daughter, she's 27, she was just diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. She's Latina." And I thought, yeah, this is it. This is going to be the reason why. Because she didn't even know about my friend didn't even know that I was recently diagnosed. But when I got that text, I said, this is going to be the reason why, because there are so many Latinas who are getting diagnosed younger and at later stages, and I need to be a voice, one of many voices, but a voice of influence and a voice of inspiration that can remind ladies, hey, we need to take it serious. We're living in a different time. We're living in a different world. Women are getting diagnosed younger, and I want to shed light on what I've learned in my journey. And I don't want women to be afraid, because my mom just passed from this 4 years ago, and that didn't stop me from, if anything, it's in honor of her. Like, let it not be in vain that she passed from this. Let me take note and pay attention and take care of my health.
Wow, that is so powerful. And I love how you said that. I don't believe, God gave it to me. I believe He allowed some things to happen. We're now to sympathize and empathize with folks you're taking care of. It's different.
Mhm.
Like you said, to give that wisdom to even folks like me on what if it happens to my own wife, or to be able to reach out to you and then now to say, Mario, I know, like, this is what I went through, not saying everyone else is going to experience the same,
Right.
and that's powerful. And then to just keep going, because that's a choice. I mean, in your lifetime, have you seen folks who have received this diagnosis and that was it, shut them down? They were like, I'm done. Have you ever seen that before?
Well, I mean, I definitely thought in my mind, I thought, I mean, it never occurred to me to do that, but I but
Mhm.
I told myself, I go, a lot of people in something like this, they would retreat within probably and just say, hey, you know what, I'm shutting this down. I got to focus on me. They would probably crumble. No, no disrespect. It's heavy. It's really
Yeah.
heavy. Um, and but it was never an option for me. I'm not a quitter. To know me is to know I don't quit. I pivot and I keep moving forward. That's just the way I'm built, and I love that about myself, if I can say so. Because I think it's necessary to have that, to be in business, to to do things that I've been doing. I remember one of the marketing companies that I worked with in the beginning when I first started impromptu. I will never forget when she said to me in a meeting, she goes, business is not for the faint of heart. And I didn't fully get that then, but I roll forward and everything I've been through, and I was like, she was right. Like, to really survive this life and really make an impact, you are going to go through stuff, and you're gonna
Wow.
find out what you're made of. So
Well, you're I believe this in my little heart, Lana, that your mom is up there smiling. When you said the word pivot, that really probably got her jumping up, because that's a Marine Corps thing. And she's like, "That's my girl. I told you, girl, to pivot."
yeah, yeah, pivot and leverage. Those are my favorite
Yeah.
words in business. Learn how to pivot and leverage, and you're good.
Well, you've done some amazing things. I mean, again, for-profit company, nonprofit, pandemic, external factor slams into all industries, and look at you, you're thriving. Impromptu's doing amazingly well, has done well. What I mean by that is making an impact on people, and then your charity's just been doing some great things. I am not going to hold you too much longer like the other guests, because every single guest, I tell every single guest, including you, I enjoy just having discussions without armor. And I will have you guys on for so long that I'm preventing you from continuing to make a positive impact on thousands of people. So, with that said, looking back if there was any piece of advice that you can give the women in this world today on International Women's Day, what would you give them?
That's really a good question. I would, two things come to my mind. I think one of my pieces of advice would be kind to yourself, and it's because it's something that I'm still learning how to do. I struggle with it, but and it seems to be something that's being said a lot. But I think there's a reason why it's being said a lot is because we're not doing it. We're not giving ourselves enough grace, and just realizing that as women, we're very powerful. We're very capable to do so much in this world, and it's okay to have setbacks, and it's okay to have, just things not go as planned. And when that happens, just be kind to yourself. And I would also say, but also truly be mindful of how you are moving in this world and how you're being with other women. That's another piece of advice that I speak on, because in my years in business, being fully transparent, one of the things that I've seen, there's so many women, and I don't want to get flack for this. I don't want to get any negative, but I'm being sincere when I say this.
It's not armor talk.
There are a lot of women who, in public forum, they act like they're for women.
Yeah.
They do. They act like they're a woman for women, and then behind closed doors, it's
Mm,
not the case. And I don't like that. And I'm sure there are probably a lot of women who are hearing this, and they're gonna say, "Oh, I can relate to that," and they get that.
mm.
And it makes me sad because there's enough space for everybody. I think once we really learn that there's enough room for everybody, we all bring something different to the table, and what my strengths are not what your strengths are, and really we could both be doing the same business, but we're not going to speak to everybody of the same audience. So that's okay, and that's okay. That's okay. So I would just say, be kind to yourself, and please be kind to other women too. So
You guys heard it. You all heard it. Again, she's already famous, but now she's going to be running the galaxy. I believe that in my heart. But you all heard it. Self care. Take care of yourself, ladies, and everyone. Take care of yourself. Focus on you first. And then be authentic.
yeah.
It's okay. Be unarmored. Just be you. Be you. Be authentic. And if you say on the TV, on the show, or whatever you're doing, that you're for women, progress for progression of women and equality for women, then you do that behind the scenes. And you guys are looking at one young man who was inspired and shaped, and formed in my personality and everything else by Darlene Annette Fields, God rest her soul, my mother. So thank you, Lena. Thank you to all the women on this earth. And I firmly believe that you guys have inspired the heck out of change and social and economic growth. And we have a lot more work to do. It's been a pleasure, Lena. I hope you feel the same.
Oh, Mario, it's been an absolute pleasure for me as well. I definitely I'm honored that I got to be a guest on your podcast. Thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to share about everything I have going on and for supporting. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. And one last thing, how can people find you?
Yes, so I can be found on my personal Instagram, Leyna Topete, and impromptu. The website is www.impromptu.life. Her2breastcancer.org, and also the handle for Her2 is Her2 underscore nonprofit.
Nice. I'll make sure those are in the show notes and on the YouTube video banners. And I will continue to keep you, Elena, in my prayers for recovery and everything else that you continue to do. But everyone, you guys know the deal. Until the next episode, may God continue to bless you. May God continue to bless your family members. And may God continue to bless your friends. Have a wonderful night, Lena.
You too. Thank you, Mario.